Hey, you guys, just wanted to give you some information about taxes. Probably could have made this video a while ago because we are in the tax season right now, or divorced, that owe taxes. You still can get a tax refund for 2012 or any other year prior up to, I believe, 5 or 6 years. There is a way to do it where you can still receive a tax refund this year, even though the IRS says that you owe money. Say, for instance, last year you and your spouse received a letter from the IRS, or didn't get a refund last year because the IRS dollars for the year. Anyway, this will work for if you're a wife or husband, as long as you were previously married, or if you still are married, or um, separated, or what have you. I mean, even if you're still living in the same house and still married, you still can receive a tax refund if you're due one for the year 2012 or any other year. Anyway, what you need to do before you file, if you already know that you owe for a previous year, you need to file Form 8857. And the best way to do that, you need to do it before you file your taxes for the year 2012, which is you know, what we're filing for now, this year, currently. You need to file Form 8857. And what happens is basically you need to prove to the IRS that you are not responsible for your or previous spouse's tax liability. So what you need to do when you file Form 8857, you need to attach documentation proving that um, needs to be detached from your spouse's tax liability. And when you fax the supporting documentation you need to fax with Form 8857 is, let's see, if you have any history of mental illness, you need to attach a copy of the prescription medicine that you're on. Say, for instance, you have adult ADD or split personality, bipolar disorder, or what have you. Get a copy, a doctor's note from your doctor specifying your disorder, and also make a copy of your prescription medications. Also, you need to attach your divorce decree. You don't need to attach every single page because sometimes it can get pretty lengthy, but if you attach your final divorce decree, that will be great. That will help your case. Also, if you've ever been involved in any domestic violence with your spouse, you need to attach copies of a restraining order or police reports. You need to, this sounds silly to send to the IRS, but what you're doing is you're proving that um, the tax liability is not your fault. You need to prove, or at least what you're doing is requesting the IRS to actually investigate your case. So also you need to add any documentation, if you have it, that proves that you did not have access to funds, um, joint bank accounts, or anything like that. Let's see what else will be good. That's all I can think of right now. But I'm going to list in the description the fax numbers that you need to fax this information to. And you can also go to the IRS website, irs.gov, and you can actually print out Form 8857, and you can also review the instructions when filing Form 8857. Now, what's going to happen when you fax this documentation in, you do not want to file your taxes until you receive confirmation that the IRS has received your Form 8857 along with the other documentation you fax with it. Because what's going to happen is if you file your taxes and the IRS has not received or accepted your Form 8857, what's going to happen is when you file your taxes, they're automatically going to take it for any amount due that the IRS says that you owe them. So you definitely want to file Form 8857 first. And once you fax that, it takes about maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks for them to actually receive your documentation and say that Yes, we see that you filed Form 8857. Once you get confirmation that they've actually received it and they're working on it, um, then that's when you go file your taxes, and you will be able to claim any dependents as long as no one else has claimed them already, and as long as your other spouse has not did his taxes or whatever and claimed them, you will still be able to receive a refund. Now, what's going to happen is if you and your spouse together have entered what the IRS calls offer in compromise, which basically is a payment arrangement to pay off your prior year taxes, if you yourself and your spouse have already agreed to pay the IRS, then this is not going to work for you. So what needs to happen is, say during the time when you and your spouse were married, and say you didn't even know about the debt. Even if you did know about it or didn't know about it, as long as only your spouse has agreed to make payment arrangements or whatever with the IRS, you can still receive a refund if you file Form 8857 before you file your taxes. But if you both have entered an agreement officially with the IRS to make monthly payments towards your tax debt, then this may not work for you. So I'll repeat that. If you've officially entered an offer in compromise with the IRS to pay prior year taxes, then you cannot receive a tax refund if you file Form 8857. Now, let's say that you have helped your spouse because only he has entered into the offer in compromise to repay the IRS, but you yourself have not agreed to make payment arrangements with the IRS. You can receive a refund of any amounts that you've assisted your spouse in paying. So when you file Form 8857, there's an area where they ask, what are your debts, what are your assets, how much money have you put toward your spouse's tax debt. And what happens is, if you have put money towards the tax debt, you write that amount in, and you can actually receive a refund of any amounts that you have paid for prior year taxes. I know this may sound confusing, but if you go to the IRS website and read the instructions for Form 8857, it'll be clear. Now, this isn't information that the IRS just puts out there like, hey, yeah, you can still get a tax refund if, your spouse owes taxes. They're not going to do that. The IRS is about getting money. But basically what this is, this whole Form 8857, it's called an innocent spouse relief form. So, um, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that can help you as far as that. But it takes a few weeks for the IRS to actually receive the information. Um, but you want to call them constantly. Like, call them, 2 times a week, like for 2 weeks. Just, you definitely have to make sure that they have received your Form 8857. And what happens once they receive it is they begin the investigation of, is this spouse responsible for, the tax of the other spouse. And it's a lengthy process, like maybe 4 to 6 months for them to do it. But what happens is they can't they can't legally snatch your tax refund from you until they make a determination that you either are or are not responsible. So therefore, that Form 8857 automatically detaches your Social Security number from your spouse's taxes or whatever. And what happens is, after a few weeks time that they receive your documentation, they're going to send you a letter acknowledging, hey, we received your information, your request for innocent spouse relief. But they also send a form. They send a letter to your ex-spouse or your spouse or whatever. So, and basically what they send to the ex-spouse is, hey, we've received information from your ex stating that they are not liable for your tax debt, and we need additional information from you. So they send your ex-spouse a questionnaire asking questions like, what dates were you married? When were you divorced? Um, do you share any debt? Are you living in the same household? So, it's up to your ex-spouse if he fills that out and submits it to the IRS. He may or may not. Now, how that determines if they find if you are responsible with your spouse or not. I'm not sure of their guidelines, but just make sure that when you file Form 8857, you include police reports, restraining orders, your divorce decree, any medications you may be taking, or any disorders that you have been diagnosed with, because what that's going to do is, if you have all of the above, as far as like the disorder information or whatever, because that's letting the IRS know, hey, I've had some mental issues going on, so I shouldn't even be responsible for this. And also add the information of, well, I was not aware of my spouse's um, underreporting tax debt or whatever. This may sound confusing, but like I said, go to the IRS.gov website and just read it through, read it carefully. And even if you want, call the IRS and ask them questions. They're there to help. They're not going to give this information out just to everybody, but if you inquire, ask questions, and let them know the situation, they will guide you and assist you in filing this form and being able to receive a tax refund. So I hope this information has helped. I'm sorry if I've rambled on. I should have made this video a lot sooner, but better late than never, I guess. But this definitely will work, I know, because I had to do it myself. Okay, I will see you guys later. Bye.